Welcome to a bit different video than I used to do. My name is Jesper Scherpenhausen and welcome to this video where I'm going to dive into the combination of Kofax Intelligent Automation and Kofax Control Suite. And I'd like to do that based on a, very real-world example within human resources, within employee onboarding. But more on that later. The first thing I want to talk about is, you've heard me talk about the Kofax Intelligent Automation platform that combines cognitive capture, robotic process automation, process orchestration, advanced analytics, and mobility and engagement. I've done a series on RPA, I've dived into Kofax transformation, part of cognitive capture, and you've seen a lot of my videos on KCM, Kofax Communication Manager, and SignDoc, part of mobility and engagement. But what most of you might not know is that next to the Intelligent Automation platform, Kofax also offers a selection of solutions that are purpose-built, so very specific to use cases. And then you can think about accounts payable, our ReadSoft stack, for instance, fraud detection, Fraud One, and several others purpose-built applications and frameworks. And next to that, we also offer MFDP and the MFDP suite, which consists of mainly our acquisition of nuanced document imaging, which is now fully integrated into the Kofax portfolio. And with that, I've tried to combine those two worlds, so our intelligent automation platform and our MFD and productivity tools. And for those of you who've never heard about the Control Suite solution, which is part of our MFDP stack, that's where we're going to dive in today and how we can combine that with Kofax Total Agility, RPA, KCM, SignDoc, you name it, everything. So without further ado, it's time for Laura. Let me just open up my machine. So in this scenario, what I would like to do is I would state that Laura Wilson, whom we all know and love, has applied for a job at Bankwright, and she's gone through the interviews and she's aced all of them, and now it's coming to that point where she really needs to be onboarded. So what needs to happen is her CV is going to be stored within Bankwright, and from there on we will start the actual onboarding process. So we will need to draft a contract for her that needs to be approved by Bankwright. It needs to be signed by Laura. We then need to make sure that she receives all the additional information, and all of this back-end systems need to be updated there as well. So again, this process will start with her resume, her CV, her curriculum vitae, or whatever you want to call it. I'm now going to quickly open that in Kofax Power PDF. Again, part of our MFDP stack. So here we have Laura's resume, so her name and email address. Those are the 2 points I'm going to be interested in. So for those of you who've never played with Control Suite, or in this case, part of Control Suite, AutoStore, that's where you can actually design processes and how you want to leverage these sort of documents from an end user perspective. So what I can now do is, from within Power PDF, for instance, I can submit this document directly to AutoStore. I can also open it up in Outlook and say, hey, I want to submit that to AutoStore as well. I can send that to be handled as a CV. And what I can do is I can just go back to my desktop, right click it, and say send to that same way. So I already have 3 ways of submitting this document. Next to this can be submitted through indeed an MFD, a multifunctional device, a multifunctional printer, and you can also use the Business Connect mobile application for that. But what then actually happens is designed in the Control Suite Process Designer. So here I have the process that I'm interested in, the CV one. So how do we then handle a CV that's submitted? And what I've actually done is I've created a process which does essentially what we would have expected. I'm going to submit this document to Kofax Total Agility for further processing. I can then of course select from all of the processes or cases that we have, and I can make sure, okay, we want to submit that document as a CV, a resume. So what then happens is that calls the human resources process. So we can see in that case, we do what we would expect what we do with the document. We classify it, we extract it, we validate it if needed, and then we start the actual onboarding process, which is again a Total Agility case, where we're going to showcase a bit more of intelligent automation and more specifically digital workforce management. So what happens is once that process is started, it's going to retrieve a lot of additional information, and this is of course very interesting to see that this is, again, as we said, it's digital workforce management. So we want to offload that work to a robot. So that robot will then take the information that we have, so in this case it's Laura, we've known her email address, and it's going to retrieve a lot of the information. So we have all of our robots available here where we're going to retrieve candidate information. We're then going to use that to build the data backbone, and then we're going to show how easy it is to work together as humans with these robots, because we're going to offload one task to a human to start actually drafting that contract. And for that, of course, we're going to use our Kofax Communication Manager solution. After that, as said, that new contract needs to be approved from a Bankrite side. So we're going to submit that for review by an HR supervisor. And once that's done, again, we need to be able to automate beyond boundaries of the organization, because right now Laura is not part of Bankrite yet. So we need to make sure that she's able to approve and sign that document. So we're going to leverage the built-in sign doc functionality of the intelligent automation platform. Once that's been signed, we're going to send her the actual information. And if we want, we can actually extend this process after that as well. So I can actually just add an additional step here and say, well, I want to, well, let's say update the HR mainframe application. So I can say I want to add another robot. I can then just select the HR project and say update the HR mainframe after that. So this is how easy it then becomes to design these processes. And of course, we also want to make sure that we are able to handle exceptions. So if that contract, for instance, has been rejected, we then want to start creating a new version of that contract, but we don't want to start from scratch. If Laura, for whatever reason, declined the contract, we want to make sure that we understand why she did that, and again create a new version of that contract. So without further ado, let me just show you how this works. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to submit the document straight from my desktop. So right click it, send it to CV, and I'm just going to show you what happens in the background. So it's going to ask me, do you want to submit this? Yes, I want to submit that. Perfect. So I go into Total Agility, and the one thing I'm just going to do is I'm going to show you which jobs are running. So we're going to wait for that for the AutoStore process to actually submit the document for processing by Total Agility. That might take a couple of seconds. Oh, here we go. So the human resource process is already running, and I can show you where we are. So view the job. So as you can see, it's now in classification. That's happened. It's now being extracted. So we want to extract, in this case, just 2 data points, the name and the email address. But for those of you who've looked into my transformation videos, you know we can do a lot more. Let me just quickly refresh that. And the next thing is, again, it's going to be submitted for validation to a human. So I can easily do that, and after that it's going to be, well, submitted to the HR onboarding process. So let's go back to the work queue, and you'll see that we have a validation task there. So I've overwritten it so that it will always go to validation, just so we can show you what's happening there. So it says it's all valid, so what do you want to do? But I'm just going to click no for now, and I can just show you that it's been able to retrieve the right information from these from this document. Let me just confirm that and say yes. So what that then does, it's then going to start the HR onboarding process. So again, I'm going to go back, look for the jobs that are running, and you can now see that we already have the Bankwright employee onboarding process started. Let's go back into the view job. So you can see the robot has already finished its job to retrieve the information. It's set the data backbone and it's now been submitted to the HR employees group to draft that contract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as, in this case, Michael Sweeney. And he's part of the HR case handlers group. And you can then see that he has received an invitation to draft Laura's contract. So all of the information that we already have on Laura, so what's the job that she applied for, what are her details, those are already part of this document. But we can still make some changes here. So we can, let's say I want to say that Laura's going to be a production controller. So I can click on next. And for those of you who've seen some of my videos on Kofax Communication Manager, you might recognize this. So this is an interactive screen where I, as a human being, can easily tweak a document, but still remain within the compliance confines of Bankwright. So certain parts of this document, recognizable by the pen, are able to be changed, and other parts are being locked down. So I can't change the notice period, for instance. Some of the data points still need to be answered. And again, this is a demo, so I've said, we still want to make sure that we are able to select the salary. So update that, and the payment term. So let's say that's going to be on a weekly, who wants to be paid on a quarterly basis, right? And I can also say, well, this part of the document I want to change there as well. And as you can see, I have all of these data points that we know about Laura available to me. But I just want to do one small change. I'm going to change it to Senior Production Manager. So that's very easily done. And I can just click next, and essentially my work is now done. So let's go back to the case here, and what you'll then see is I've been able to draft that contract, and it's now going to be submitted for review. So I'm now going to log in as an HR supervisor, Sarah Jones. Sarah Jones will then have received a task to review a contract. In this case, of course, Laura's contract. And here we can see the document that Mike just created. So we can see it now says Senior Production Manager. You see everything there, the terms and conditions, all of the images, QR codes for easy digestion, you name it. And we can now decide whether we want to approve or reject it. I want to reject this and say, needs to be Junior Mike. Well, not Nike. Copyright infringement there. Needs to be Junior. So let's go back. What happened? I rejected that. So you can now see it's been submitted back to the HR employees to create a new version. But as said, we don't want to start from scratch. So I'm Mike Sweeney. Create new contract version. So all of the selections I've done in the previous run are still there. And I can just dive in and pinpoint my change. And this is how I designed the process. I could have also designed this so that Sarah was able to change this herself. But in the interest of this demo, I decided to do it like this. So say Junior. And this is, of course, the beautiful flexibility of this platform. You can design it as you want. So here we have the actual comments from Sarah. It needs to be Junior Mike. There we go. Click on next. And the only thing we now need to do is we need to, of course, we need to approve this. So go back to Sarah. I'm going to show you that real quickly from here. Review the contract again. Go to Sarah's work queue, and she's able to do that. Just one quick comment. Right now I'm working from these personal work queues, but you can also configure that process so that every time you receive a new task, you could get an email and just do the task from there, to really make sure that it's that easy to do digital workforce management, or as I like to call it, hybrid workforce, because you're working together with robots and humans, and you're actually being able to digitally transform all of these processes from start to finish. So here we have the new version, Junior Production Manager. I'm just going to approve that straight away. Well, so right now the whole process is done. We can go back, and it's now been submitted to SignDoc. So again, we needed to be able to automate this process from start to finish. We needed to go beyond the confines of the organizational boundary. We needed to reach out to Laura. So we said, okay, we want Laura to be able to sign this document electronically. And if I now open up Laura's inbox, you see that she's received an e-signing request. Dear Laura Wilson, request has invited you to e-sign documents with Kofax SignDoc. So this is of course an email that can be customized. She clicks that link and she's then taken to Bankright's digital signing platform. And again, this now has a Kofax look and feel. This can be customized. And she's actually guided through a wizard in order to be, well, able to sign her contract digitally. So this is a contract that started when we submitted her CV to be automatically processed after she was, well, gone through her interview. When after that, all of the information has been, well, integrated by using robots. We then saw robots working together first with Mike. So Mike was able to draft the first version of this contract. Sarah rejected it. Mike made some changes. Sarah approved it, and now this step is up to Laura to actually sign it. So we can just select the way we want to sign it while using a photo or a click to sign, and I always like to do a signature. I've been practicing this for quite some time, but just imagine how smooth this would be if you do this from your mobile device, from a tablet, from a mobile phone. It's very intuitive. So she's done her job. She can now finish this. I don't want to show you how to handle the other exception there. We've shown you one. And what now happens is if we go back to the process, you can actually see that it's been submitted to SignDoc. It was indeed signed, and we're now going to send the invitation to Laura. So she got her signed document, and here she has the actual invite. And as shown in the previous step, we can easily add additional steps to this process to update backend systems by using robots or APIs. So that was actually this quick demo where I want to show you how easy it is to combine Kofax Intelligent Automation now with Kofax Control Suite. How you can make sure that you can take these departmental capabilities that you have and how you can then extend those with the Enterprise Intelligent Automation capabilities that we have in store. So this is again one of the steps that you need to take when you are on your journey towards hyperautomation. As always, thanks again for your time. This has been one of my longer videos. If you have any questions, any remarks, comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section or reach out to me directly. I'm still thinking about whether or not I should put my email address here as well, but if you want my email address, just leave a comment or how I can reach out. I can do that. And as always, like, subscribe, comment as much as you can, share with your friends. My name is Jesper Scherpenhuizen. Thanks again for your time. Cheers.